Hello and welcome to Italy and the UIM E1 World Championship presented by PIF. There is a delay on the first part of qualifying, so that gives us an opportunity to review the first round of this 2026 series at Jeddah, alongside Team Miami.
This is the third season. We're in Jeddah for round one of the E1 World Championship. This year is bigger than ever. 10 teams going head-to-head aiming to become the 2026 champions of the water.
It's the third time we're coming to Jeddah for the opening round of E1 World Championship, and this year feels very special.
For us, it's kind of like a new team. We are only 2 people left from Team Miami's last season, so we are all bonding. I feel really comfortable with all the new team, so we are getting ready to start the season and hopefully be on the top. I started last year as a reserve driver and then finally got the opportunity to race in Nigeria and in Miami, which was high pressure because it was our home race.
I did 2 fantastic seasons with Team Brazil. Now season 3 with Team Miami feels like the perfect place to be, and I feel like more of a boat driver now after a couple of seasons.
I've been coached a lot by Timmy. He has a lot of experience on E1, so for me that has been such an honor and a really good improvement from last year to this one.
We've had loads of time to prepare. We feel like we've done all the work that we could up until this point. So it's the first time that I'm really feeling like, you know, we come into the season very ready.
It was crazy. I hope not to leave that while we're racing, but it's something that actually can happen. So I think it's very important for you to have it in your mind, the way that you need to react. So yeah.
We're definitely here to win the championship, to win races. It's our clear goal.
We really love racing. We are really passionate about what we do, and also that we like to have fun and have a good time. I think Team Miami has all the perfect ingredients to be the best team ever.
So now with Timmy Hansen and Patricia Pitter teaming up for the first time, owner Mark Anthony will be hoping they can find their rhythm quickly here in Jeddah.
Mark Anthony is a legend, a rock star, so it feels really cool to be racing for him. He's a real character.
There's only one king of Miami, but I am Team Miami.
I hope he's coming soon. I'm looking forward to get to know him better.
I'm from South America, so I grew up listening to all of his music. It was pretty cool meeting him in Miami. Plus, we had that win race that got us to the final, and the team didn't achieve that for like 18 months. So for me, it was very nice seeing him so happy.
Steve Curtis is the new team principal for Team Miami. We've seen him previously working with Westbrook Racing, then Team Brazil. They'll be hoping to bring his expertise and change Team Miami's fortunes in Season 3.
I've been managing teams all my life in offshore powerboat racing, which is my background. I've won 9 Class 1 World Championships, certainly won more races than anybody else. I guess I bring a little bit of experience of this class of racing and a bit of steadiness, a bit of calm to the team, hopefully.
Steve Curtis, he has so much experience and so much knowledge of both, so it's very impressive to work with him. What we have done, we have, I think, identified what you need to make a winning package, but the difference between knowing what you need and actually pulling off what you need to do to win, it is 2 different things. So now we're here, now it's time for the execution, now it's time to race, now it's time to get everything together.
Timmy's a great racer. Timmy's one of those guys that's a modern racer. He's very analytical, looks at the data, works out what he's got to do, and he could race anything.
I've got motorsport like in my blood from the beginning. Both my mom and dad were racing. My dad is 14 times European champion. My mom is the only female who's won the European Championship in rallycross. So I grew up in that environment. Like the paddock was my second home. I had my friends there. I became world champion in rallycross in 2019. Now the next challenge I want to take on is to be world champion on the water. Starting in E1, it's a big step from cars to boats. Learning the boat was harder than I thought.
You see Timmy Hansen right now trying to get a good time laid down.
Push till the end, push till the end.
Get up, get up.
That is 182, 182, you are P3.
That was quite a good lap. The water was good and the lap was clean, so you just need to use more boost. I saw I had a lot remaining at the end.
I think the main point is at the start, maybe you can go a bit higher or a bit longer with boost if you can keep it on the foils.
The wind is constantly picking up down here, And off the point there, you can see that it's moving the water around a little bit.
I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm a racing nerd. I love cars, I love driving, I love competing. So what really drives me is to understand what I'm driving and then execute it on the water. And when you pull that off, it's an amazing feeling.
So Timmy Hansen having a bit of moment there, working that boost, trying to keep the throttle in there.
Great lap, 5.7, best lap of the week.
Yeah, that was a good lap in the end. I screwed up a little bit the exit of the last corner, so it was not perfect. Hard to just go faster than that, but a really good lap and really on the limit.
We're in a good position at the moment.
There is a lot of boost available around the lap. When I get back, in the end, I had none left.
Yeah, okay.
But the first lap, I had loads left.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I use all your boost for sure.
Yeah, but then before that, I was turning it off in the comfortable spot.
Yeah.
It was too slow and loads of boost available, so I used it in more places and more just added places. Yeah, but there's a fine line between using more and falling off.
I would describe him like a racing geek. I also come from rallying and race cars, so being able to learn from him, it's amazing.
I felt the trim like very different. I felt like I tried to go down and I didn't.
I think you're pressing the button too long, so when you press the button, the longer you hold it, the more it comes up. So you were up to more than 3 degrees in the turn. So remember to be smooth in the corner, smooth steering, and relax your ass.
I certainly think that having both the pilots from a rallycross type background, they can relate to each other. They speak the same language, the language of rallying. So that's really going to help in this situation.
For our family, rallying is like a way of life. It's not just a sport. My dad, he's a rally racer. My mom would be like the race director for my dad. So I actually grew up in this environment. Every time that I saw my dad come out of the car with that feeling, I just wanted to know how it was. I wanted to be like him, but I couldn't start racing until I was 24. There weren't any women drivers in Uruguay doing rally. For me, what was important was never giving up on my dream. My mom always told me that it didn't matter what gender I had, I could dream on becoming whatever I wanted to. It's actually very crazy how my life has been developing from being the first woman to become a rally driver in Uruguay, then becoming the first woman to race Dakar for my country, and now I'm really happy and super excited to start this new chapter of my career.
Good.
That is a 15.3. We need a bit of a faster lap, Pato.
When she came out of the top bench, she was a little low on trim and then fell off the foils on the yellow. And then the last bench, she fell off the foils a couple of times. But going up to the first bench, she was running pretty good.
Pato, would you like me to talk on the radio so I'm with you in the lap?
You can talk to me, Jimmy.
Okay, so I will be in the boat with you. Relax, take some breaths now, and we'll go for the lap. I've got 2 full seasons of experience with E1, and she only has 2 events, so you can really feel her hunger and her will to learn. I can tell that she has a lot of natural feel and she knows how to feel the boat. I'm trying to teach her all the little tricks about the race bird. Very soon she'll be super fast. She's a very talented driver, and we'll help each other push the limits upwards and upwards.
Get the trim down and boost. Trim down and boost. Let the boat free. Now feel the boat. Feel the boat. Boost to the line. Boost to the line. Let the boat free. All the way wide. Let the boat free. That's it. Well done. That was your best lap.
Launch area, turn right before the yellow, turn right before the yellow.
Miami race director.
Go ahead.
Last lap will be penalized because you've wrong the in and out procedure, so last timed lap will be cancelled. Okay, information for the crew. We are already out of Q1.
So a tough go for Timmy Hansen and Patricia Pita. Their day is done.
Hannah made a little mistake at the end. I think it was a little overwhelming for her, but it wasn't on the lap time. It was actually coming back to the pit lane, so we got penalised after the lap. If you looked at the realistic results, we probably should have been like 5th or 6th.
What was the difference between my best lap and the one that we
2 seconds.
2 seconds. Yeah. was 1:15 and then 1:13.
It's a shame we've put it behind us. In this format of racing, it's not the end of the world. It's not like we're at the back of the grid, we're at the outside. And to be honest with you, it's not a bad line to be in. I'd rather be on the outside than right in the middle of the pack. We're not in a terrible position. We've got to make sure our starts are good.
When you do the start, I want you to go as close to T1, which is the outer on the start gate.
Yeah.
So that way you have a more accurate start.
If you're on the outside, you can get a big long sweep out, because if they fall off going through here and you can stay on going through there, you're going to gain a lot. I think in the middle there is going to be a mess.
Yeah, it is.
I will just ask for a radio check, and all I'm going to say is you can come across 1 lane, 2 lane, 3 lane, or not.
We definitely don't want to be slightly behind because it's so tight there. So if we're slightly behind, the door's going to get closed.
Yeah, you've got to be alongside, because if you're behind, they're naturally going to push you out.
Yeah.
And remember, you keep going till we say checkered flag, and then return without going to the yellow.
That will never happen again.
Yeah, I know. This is obviously my first race with Pato. She's very new, and it's like information overload. We're trying to calm that down a little bit and go step by step. She's got the speed there. When you break her sector times down, she's really fast. So as soon as we get her up to speed, we get the boat suiting, find out what she likes in the boat so we can set it up for her. I think we're going to have a fantastic team for this season.
Hello and welcome to Italy and the UIM E1 World Championship presented by PIF. This is the second round of the 2026 season. The E1 Lake Como GP presented by the Villa d'Este and the 10 teams fighting for the title in the all-electric powerboat racing championship. I'm Ben Edwards. Alongside me is former E1 pilot Anna Glennon, who raced very competitively from the first season in 2024. And it's great to have you alongside. And we're looking forward to the championship developing. We've only had that one event so far. So let's take a little look at how the championship standings are right now. And what are your thoughts on these teams that are going so well?
Yeah, you know, so far there's things that I expected and there's things that I didn't expect. You know, seeing Aoki at the top is not really a surprise. They had a really successful season last year, but the one I'm watching is Team Rafa. They, I think, are going to be back with a vengeance this year after the very big disappointment in Monaco last year. Those two pilots are very competitive, so we're going to see what's going to happen today.
Great stuff. Well, we are looking forward to the championship standings. So Aoki's Racing's Sarah Messier at the top of the table for the first time ever, much to the frustration of Tom Brady's champions.
The final race of the weekend, and it is on.
Radio check, radio check.
Loud and clear.
I'm very boosted this year. Plus this year, Sarah is here with us. I'm very, very proud to have you here.
Obviously, Team Rafa and Aoki were the main competitors last year.
You're lane 1, second is Brady.
We have a very similar mentality and focus and work ethic.
A reminder that it will be Aoki on your left.
The team mantra is fiercely competitive. Don't leave anything on the table, leave no stone unturned.
Go, go, go.
Here we go, the race is on in Jeddah.
On the inside line, Sarah Messier, she has the optimum position, but has she got the pace?
Rafa on the inside, trying to roll over the top.
Oh, they're coming together between the Aoki and the Rafa Racebird.
Got hit hard by Rafa on my right.
Absolute chaos in the middle of the pack, and it's Sarah Messier out in front.
So you've got Rafa on your right.
Oh, we got contact. Brady and Rafa getting together.
No stress. Behind there, finding a lot.
Sarah Messier, she will go short lap right out of the gate. Team Brady goes long lap.
That early long lap, getting it out of the way, knowing you can use that short lap later to make up the time.
Boost is high, boost is high. You're clear of Rafa, move left. Head down, let's close the gap. We should get some clean water now.
We need lap time. Keep pushing.
The boat feels very unstable. Try my best.
The question is, has Aoki built up enough lead to take that long lap and still stay ahead of Team Brady?
We can still win this, just need to close the gap to Aoki.
Okay, everything you have, and long lap.
She keeps it smooth. I think she'll be able to ride this one home. Now keep an eye on Brady. They've saved that short lap for the last lap.
Yep.
Where are they going to come out?
It will be close with Sierra.
This may be looking for a Brady second position.
You're ahead.
Meanwhile, it is clear water and clear racing for Aoki Racing Team.
Bring it home, take the checkered flag.
Take a bow, Aoki Racing Team. 2 years in a row, they take the win here on the Red Sea. Team Brady will go second.
Damn, that was a tough one.
The big prize go to Aoki Racing Team. Fear the dragon indeed.
So here we are looking to round 2 of 7 of the 2026 season in this 3rd year of the UIM E1 World Championship. And we are looking at the layout. And Anna, you competed here in 2024. So this is going to be fantastic to watch once again, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Lake Como is one of the most scenic stops that we have on the tour this year, but this track looks simple and it can be quite sneaky. So I'm excited to see what the pilots do today.
So we're looking forward to all the action taking place around this wonderful venue. So Lake Como, it really is amazing. We are just south of the Alps here. We're in the northern part of Italy, and it is actually going to be the only lake running of this season. There'll be offshore on the sea on all of the other events, but that does make a difference, Anna, doesn't it, to the amount of the boat when it's up on its foils and is bouncing around. That can make quite a big difference.
Absolutely. You know, Lake Como's a little bit of a blessing because typically we have really nice weather, but the water conditions can be really deceptive. You know, as we see Chris Lazaraga sitting here, you can see the waves behind her. They don't look terribly big, but they can still upset the boat quite a bit. We're also very close to the shoreline here, which can get us a lot of, I guess you could say, ricochet from the waves coming back off the shoreline straight into the racetrack.
Well, Chris Lazaraga, she's with Team Rafa, and they are currently 3rd in the championship at the moment. You're looking at Team Monaco here, and getting involved this year. Team Monaco in this series, and very clear livery on this lovely machine. And we will see how they get on. The first event didn't quite, you know, it's just developing, isn't it? You've got to learn. You've got so much to learn, and you're up against many teams that have been here for 2 years.
Yeah, it can definitely be difficult. The team element here, you know, you would imagine it's important, but here it's even more important. You know, a good team can really make or break you when you're out there. You know, visibility, eyes and ears, having a boat that's running correctly, you know, that can all make or break you as a pilot. So as these new teams are coming in, I'm sure there's a lot of learning pains. But Team Rafa is definitely one of the teams that are very dialed, ones to look out for. But it's exciting to see some new teams come in and be competitive. You know, Team Monaco was new, but you couldn't really tell that on the track. They were definitely very competitive in Jeddah.
Tom Schafter, also part of Team Rafa, of course, and very, very experienced in this form of competition. So we shall see how it all goes. He's had the one win some 13 times. He's been racing the GPs, and we will have all sorts of fun. Now, we've got Taylor Snyder out there, Taylor Snyder, sorry, there, who's going to be chatting to a lot of the pilots. She's speaking to Sarah.
The launch zone is the place to be, and it's a little bit wavy down here. You've got to get your sea legs on this morning with Sarah Mazier. You guys are at the top. Obviously, they put you on the docks in running order, so you guys have nobody to this side. That means you're running at the top. How does it feel? Oh.
Danny's going out for quali now. It feels good. I mean, it's nice for parking wise. I don't have to worry too much about hitting anybody. So it's a little bit easier. It's good, you know, we have a little bit more privacy. We have a little bit more space. It's fun, you know.
It is fun. And Danny's obviously all excited getting in that boat first. We see him right now doing his pre-race ritual. What's the expectation going into first round?
Just going out, we narrowed down our strategy for quali, so he's going to go out, test. We only have 2 laps this time, usually we have 3. So with the 2 laps, we're going to go out, do the first one in our strategy, what we think is best, and then Danny will adapt, and then from there I'll take over. We keep adapting and finding our best bet, so it's just heads down and hardest working ahead.
Does it put any pressure? This is your first time at the top of the ladder. Does that pressure get to you at all?
No, not at all. I mean, it's only the second race meet of the year, so a lot can change. As we saw last season, it changed very, very frequently. So it's just a matter of it's a new location, new race, new water, and just go out there, do our best, and only try to do better than what we were the day before.
Being with Aoki Racing Team?
I love it. You know, pink has always been my color. I love pink and I love the dragon and everything and what they stand by, and racing for them has been right at home in the family, and it's been great. And Steve himself has been so involved and really encouraging, and he's great to represent, because what he stood for and his legacy of his father's racing and everything has just been amazing.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for chatting with me. We're going to see how Danny does out there, starting off Q1. Fingers crossed, absolutely, before Q1. Thanks, sir.
So, Salonisa, and we are now on board the Aoki team that had such a good start to the season, and we will see whether they're going to be able to continue trying to win the championship. But of course, we've still got a long, long way to go through this season. This is round 2 of 8 in total that they will be doing throughout the course of the season. So it's an important stage just to keep it up, keep it going all the time. Remember, you get 38 points for the victory of the final, but all the way through the weekend you can start losing out if you don't get into qualifying very well. You do score 3 points for the pole position, 2 points for second place, and 1 point for third. That's what we'll get today, but that's not nearly as many points as you're going to get when you win the race.
Yeah, so, you know, race day is clearly the critical one when it comes to the points, but the preparation for that is everything. So securing a good gate position is going to be everything, which we get a lot of that out of quali day today. The other thing is, you know, regardless of the qualifying position, qualifying can also be used to kind of go through our technical setup. So a lot of the teams are going to be taking a lot of the data from the propeller, the lap times, the different areas on the track to see where they can maximize the strategy, maximize the speed, and hopefully all that comes together on race day. So with the exception of not having to do a start today, all of the information that they get from quali today is going to go into race day.
Absolutely right. And of course, with this equipment that they're dealing with all the time, they're sort of complicated to cope with it. These E1 race birds, of course, are wonderful, really interesting machines, not easy to set up all the time. So, an opportunity. Let's go back to Taylor. Oh, we're not just yet. We will in a second, catching up with some of the other pilots that are ready to compete here this weekend. We're just having a quick look at the Team Monaco boat heading out onto the track right now. And we will see Oben Duncan and Max Nosche. They are competing, of course, with this team, and they will be seeing how they get on with that. It is Oben Duncan who will be going out first.
Yeah, as these guys head to the milling area, I can imagine tensions are probably pretty high. You know, we've changed the qualifying structure today, moving forward in the championship. So, you know, big changes can sometimes upset some of the pilots, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be about providing the fastest possible lap for the team today. So these guys are in the milling area, and they're really just waiting for the session to start, which can be a little bit tense in my experience.
So let's take a look at how this is all going to be lining up as we're getting ready for the start of this session. So Blue Rising, Sierra, Aoki, Westbrook and Monaco are the teams that are going to be competing, and we'll see them with their different pilots, of course, male and female pilot in every team that is competing in this Q1 session. This is the 1A start list. So we shall see them out on the lake right now, which is lovely to see. And once you're, as an ex-pilot yourself, Anna, once you're in there, just getting ready for the start of qualifying, what are the things that you're really beginning to focus on? What's going to be really important going out in these first sessions?
Right at this moment, a lot of the pilots are probably wondering if it is going to be a dogfight to be the first person on the track. So being the first person on the track, you're going to get the cleanest water, you're going to get away from everybody else, and you're hopefully going to lay the fastest lap of the day early on. As the water gets more aerated, as more people get on the track, we are going to see the lap time start dropping down. So as you can see right now, they're all bunched up around that buoy because one of them is probably going to push the other one out to try and get around there first. I personally have had experiences where we are bumping a little bit coming around, trying to get onto the track because you want to be out there first to get that clean water.
Absolutely, I can quite imagine that. It's so important to get some clear space. But the view here is absolutely glorious, isn't it? It is a wonderful venue, and everybody now, of course, they're firing up to what they need to do within these machines, but it is just absolutely glorious. We've got some wonderful views in the background as well. The weather's looking good today, and once they start floating up onto the foils, well, they have done some practice, of course, yesterday, so that the teams will also already have been working on these and maybe changing some changes overnight to get them ready for today.
Yeah, absolutely. They did have free practice yesterday, which, you know, we have some times coming out of free practice, but in my experience, those times don't really mean that much, and they're not a great reflection moving into the actual competitive weekend. The biggest thing during free practice is that the teams are typically experimenting with the propellers, so trying to decide in these water conditions, you know, the location that we're in, you know, how buoyant the boat is going to be at this particular location, which propeller is going to be the most effective. So the other thing is you don't necessarily know which pilots were in the Racebird during that time. So a lot of it is just about testing the perfect setup. They're not necessarily trying to be the fastest person in practice, but they're trying to dial in what is going to be their quali setup versus their race setup. So hopefully the teams figured that out, and we'll see who figured that out today when they have the fastest qualifying time.
The way you can change the propellers, it changes a little bit in terms of your acceleration compared to your top speed. Is that right?
Yeah, you know, since I'm not a pilot, I'm happy to share some of those secrets with you today.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing when we're testing out the propellers is two different things. You have comfort on the race condition, and then you have the actual performance. So typically, to give you guys a short explainer on the propellers, there's 3 propellers throughout the entire season, and it's a lottery. So every weekend you get a set of 3 propellers per team, and you're allowed to decide which ones you're going to run. What's unique about this is, since it's a lottery, if you find the prop that's magic, you probably aren't going to have it the next race. Your competitors may have it. So looking at the prop sizes, the smaller prop is usually going to have a lot more low-end acceleration, which you're going to really get into on a smaller track, whereas the bigger prop is going to have a lot more top end.
Just wondering, you know, what's the problem here for Team Blue Rising? Because it's a bit of a surprising that John Peters, we've got a delay actually, until they are allowed to get up, because they obviously have an issue at the moment. And at this stage, John Peters, who's very experienced, of course, he's not actually able to get out there.
Yeah, so because John isn't really playing with the dash, I'm guessing they're probably not resetting the boat. This is probably something that the E1 engineers are looking into, but they've closed the cockpit, so hopefully they've figured that out.
Let's hope they get him out, because yes, they are. They're sending him out. That's
There
good
we go.
news. Yeah, so John Peters is now going out there and will be able to start qualifying. They have delayed just the start of this session just to make sure that he comes out. The 43-year-old American who has been competing regularly in this, he's been racing boats since he was 9 years old. He's really got a massive amount of experience.
Yeah, I think he might be the oldest pilot on the grid, and I can imagine right now, knowing John, he's probably not super happy that the boat didn't start right away. And you got to look out for him when he's crabby, because he will be a lot more aggressive and a lot faster. So these guys might have to watch out for him. Hopefully the boat stays consistent so he can finish his laps, but I can imagine we're probably going to get Angry John today.
Absolutely. Well, we shall see how it all goes for them. They didn't have a great first time out in Jeddah. They are currently 8th in the points, but it can always go one way or the other, can't it?
Yeah, you know, they really had a unique situation in Jeddah, you know, with Michelle having an injury coming into the first event. John was the lone man out there, so considering they didn't come in last place, I think that's pretty strong testament to his driving ability, because he was able to secure them some points despite not having both pilots on the track during that weekend.
Yeah, no, that was a challenge, absolutely. That really was a difficult one. But thankfully, as you say, Michelle Alabed-Aden is going to be with him alongside for Team Blue Rising this time. And all of the teams are now out there getting ready to start out this Q1. We're just a minute and a half away from that, so we will be seeing them taking some quick, rapid approaches now with the E1 Racebirds. Remember, all electric, and just working out as well. Another aspect, of course, the boost.
You can see right now, John Peters is aggressively trying to push in on Sarah Price here, trying to bully his way to the front, unless he has a boat problem, which, if I know John, probably not. So, like I said, these guys are trying to get out on the track first.
So the session is underway, and here we have John Peters for Blue Rising, Eric Stark for Sierra, Danny Kloss for Aoki, the leading team at the moment, Sarah Price for Westbrook, and Owen Duncan for Monaco. And we've got the other pilots, of course, that will be taking on as well. So this is something that we are looking forward to. and give us our first proper experience of what they're going to be able to do around these laps. Now, you've competed here. In terms of the layout, what are the sort of major challenges of getting around this quickly?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I think this track may be the longest track that we've seen in a while. The top speeds are going to be pretty fast here because we have these very big straightaways, but the danger is going to be getting the boat up to speed and the risk of falling off the foil in those high-speed straights.
Well, lots to look forward to. Here we go, time ticking away. And Q1 is underway, and here we go. Let's see how this all starts to develop now. They get a chance to see how they go. Aoki and Westbrook, the two teams that are setting off first.
Yep, you can see that there's a little bit of bullying on that, and those teams are both committed. So unfortunately, one of them is going to have a messy lap as they get stuck behind.
Just tell me, when you're the pilot and you are following another, how much does that affect? I mean, you can just see, this is a great view. At the moment, managing to stay off that water line, but now having to follow the same water line of the boat that's ahead of you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell Sarah had the right idea getting outside of the wake. You can see that water behind Danny is very aerated, and that disturbed water is not great on that giant foil that's underneath the boat. It can make the boat kind of act sporadically, and you have a lot less control. It can also slow the boat down pretty substantially. So that's why I was saying these pilots are literally bullying each other to try and get out in front, and you could see right away that Danny's really walked away from Sarah, despite the fact that he's falling off the foils because that water is just so much more aerated behind him.
Absolutely. Well, we've got TVR just starting out as well, so that we've got a bit more action coming on now. Team Blue Rising, as you can see, and how they float up into the air. The way the foil is designed to lift the boat right off the water, but then as you go into the corners, you've got to drop it down, get the turn done, lift it back up again. That is so much a part and parcel of the pilot working out exactly what works and where to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you're not in the boat, you may not realize these guys are having to do so much work. Unlike a lot of other powerboat racing where you have a throttle and a steer and you're dividing the duties, these guys actually have to do literally everything. So when driving this boat, you're operating the trim, which adjusts where the foil is. You're operating the ride height of the engine. So you're trying to constantly be dancing with this boat to keep it as balanced as possible. And the worst part about it is no matter what you do, sometimes the boat is just fighting you back. You know, if the conditions are rough enough, that engine and foil are going to be moving around a little bit on their own. So it's a constant dance of trying to keep the settings just right to try and maximize your speed here. You're trying to limit the amount of drag on the boat. See, just like that, John got the wing a little bit too wet and it really slowed the boat down. So again, you know, how you're entering the corners and then also your stability at top speed is everything.
Makes total sense, yeah. So just to see John Peters across the line, but it is Aoki that has set the pace initially, 121.35. And Team Blue Rising now in second place, pretty close. There's no big gap there, but then it's a slightly bigger gap to Westbrook, third place at the moment. And those are just the 3 times that we have seen so far. And just bearing in mind the combined standings where you're looking at on screen, teams at risk, don't worry about that just yet. That's 9th and 10th, but this is until we've seen all 10 go out and set times. We're at the moment, of course, we've just got 5 and then 5 going out, but that is part and parcel of this morning's qualifying, is try not to be the bottom 2. So at the moment, everybody building up. We're watching Sierra now, and Eric Stark is currently in the Sierra.
Yeah, so you see Eric coming around that red buoy right there. You know, I'm curious to see, you know, previously in Lake Como, a lot of pilots were having issues trying to make that tight corner under boost. So I'm curious to see if this year, if they have kind of softened that curve a little bit. When you're on the boost, under cornering, sometimes you can high side the boat, and we saw that a lot. Myself, I almost flipped the race bird in Lake Como previously. I know Emma Kinney-Leinen also got a little touchy on that. So, you know, we'll see if they've softened up some of these corners to make it a little easier to carry speed.
It is looking very tight at the moment in terms of the times, isn't it? Sierra now having set that pace at 121.28, but 0.07 ahead of Aoki, the team that is currently leading the points at the moment. That's impressive, and close behind as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm curious to see, typically the first lap out I would consider to be kind of a sight lap. They're going to get 2 laps that count. They don't have to be consecutive. So you may have noticed Aoki set their lap and then they've pulled off the track onto the milling area. So right now, after setting that first lap, these pilots are going to the milling area, they're talking to their teams to see where they can improve, and then they're going to go out one more time and see if they can improve that time. So I would imagine when we see the second lap, we're going to see the stops get pulled. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something kind of surprising from TBR or from Aoki. And I don't know, Sierra being a new team, we could see something from them as well.
We've just seen Owen Duncan in the Team Monaco setting the 4th fastest time, just 1.42 seconds off. She's the 20-year-old British racer. She's done 13 GPs now in this, and she was the E1 Pilot of the Year in 2024. Let's see how this goes. Obviously, it needs to find that a little bit more pace, but we are seeing them remarkably close at this stage and some wonderful views. This is really how you can see how they're floating above, but bumping around just a little bit, and nobody on a quick lap at the moment. Everyone just peeling back in, understandably, to come back to the team, work out what needs to be changed, what needs to be worked on. And of course, as a pilot, working with your team engineer is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I have learned the hard way that a good team is really a make it or break it for the pilot. So, some of the strongest pilots actually have the strongest teams behind them. So, even a pilot that's inexperienced, if they have a good team behind them and a good co-driver as well, they can make a pretty big difference.
Absolutely, I can imagine that. So it's all good action that is going out on the track at the moment. We're back with John Peters, who was a bit slow to come out onto the circuit, but seems to be dealing with it all very well at this stage, and hopefully he can put in even more pace, because he's only 0.72 off the outright pace at this stage for Blue Rising. And you're riding on board. What are we watching here that's so important?
Yeah, so we're watching out the front of the boat right now. We're watching John come around this corner, and the biggest thing that I'm noticing is the water looks deceivingly calm, from an external overview, but I'm seeing the pilots consistently fall off the foils in kind of similar places, and to be honest, I think it's because of the direction of the waves. So there's a few points on the track where the pilots are kind of headed across the waves diagonally, and I think it's upsetting the boat. So I'm curious to see who can sort that out. I don't think it's a setup issue. I think it's just a matter of the conditions. So right there, and then a little bit further down the straight, we've been seeing the boats fall off the foils.
Aoki back out onto the circuit once again, so the team leading the series at the moment. Let's see whether Aoki's going to manage to snatch that top spot. Second fastest currently, but very competitive, of course, Danny Kloss, as we are now seeing John Peters about to come across the line. And let's see whether Blue Rising can improve on that time. It is so let's just see what it is going to be for Blue Rising. It's currently 3rd fastest at the moment, and it stays there at the moment, doesn't it? Just keeping an eye on Danny Kloss as well.
Yeah, during quali you kind of have 2 opportunities here. There's kind of 2 strategies. You can either open the line up away from the smart mark and carry your speed, keep the boat as flat as possible, but you run the risk of driving a little bit too far and making the trip a little bit too long and expanding your time. The alternative is a more aggressive line, which we see teams like Rafa, Tom Schaap make, where they're really diving in on the corners and kind of trying to get the boat to bounce quickly out of the corners. But the danger in that is getting the boat too wet, and when that happens, it can really slow down. So Danny just took a really smooth lap around the track, keeping it fairly upright, not getting the wings too wet in the corners, and we'll see if that pays off.
Absolutely, it wasn't quite quickly, but a very good final sector though. It was actually the best final sector, but it's still 2nd overall at this stage in that very remarkably close time that they had done on that first run. But it was a very good final sector there. So, of course, what you're always playing with as a pilot is working out which sector you need to work on harder sometimes. And the boost system, because these are electric powered, you get a chance to use boost, and where you use that boost for how many seconds is something all the time you're working on, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another part of free practice that we didn't quite touch on, was that the boost strategy is really important. Previously you could only use 20 seconds of boost or so at once, and you didn't have a strategy around it. You really just used it and then it ran out. Now the pilots are allowed to use a little bit here and there, so there's a lot more opportunities around the full lap to be using the boost. So there's a lot of strategy to be told in that. You know, you can be using it to carry more speed in the straightaways. You could be using it to keep the boat moving quickly through the corners if you start dropping off the foil. So ultimately it's going to be up to the team, but there's no real way to test it until you get on the water. So some of that learning comes from qualifying, and sometimes if you haven't caught up quick enough, that can be pretty detrimental to your quality day.
Makes total sense, yeah. So we're on board with Sarah Price right now with Angola Westbrook Racing. Westbrook are currently 5th at this stage, as you can see, but this is an improvement lap, so it is very likely that she's going to move Westbrook up the order. And we're looking at some of the on-screen, we're looking at some of the technology, the throttle level, the revs. It's rather fun seeing all this information coming to us, but let's just see how she gets on with this final section. Is she going to be able to move it up? It does look as though it's quite promising, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, like I said just a moment ago, she came around that corner with quite a bit of speed, and you could see it upset the boat, but she kept it under control pretty well.
She's gone fastest. Good lap. Very good indeed, by 1.29 seconds. A 119.98. Right, there's a smile on her face. She knows. She's been told. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, Team Westbrook really has been super consistent over the last couple of years, so long as they're not fighting issues with the boat. I know last season was very difficult for them from a technical perspective, but when the boat's running great, those two can definitely put something together. So good job, Sarah.
Last time they were on the podium was here 2 years ago, Westbrook, so it's a bit early to say they're going to be having that here, but let's wait and see, because that was a very good lap, no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure, and a lot of it comes down to mindset. So, you know, I know Westbrook's very excited for this race after winning it before, so I'm sure that they're going to try and manifest a big win here this weekend.
Monaco now underway once again, so Oban Duncan, she's going to see what she can do, try and improve on that time. Currently down in 5th position, so let's see whether you can get the boat floating up at that beautiful level without rocking too much. That's, yeah, look, no, it's just, that is an area you told me that when you were racing, that was often the case there.
Yeah, so what I think I'm seeing here is that we're getting a cross wave that's coming in kind of parallel with the boat, and you can see that the wave kind of touches the belly of the boat, and when it does that, you see them fall off the foil. So I think a lot of it's going to be along the straightaways because they're running parallel with these rollers, which seem like they're not very big, but I think they're big enough to upset the boat.
Interesting. And watch on screen, you can see when the green boost comes up, and as you were telling me, Anna, it's often on the exeter corners that you'll try and use that boost.
Yeah, so in my personal experience, we kind of had 2 different boost strategies. Thankfully, now that we can use the boost all over the track, we had more options. But, you know, A is using the boost in the straightaways to try and pick up as much speed as possible without upsetting the boat. And B is, like I said, when you're in the corners and you're getting the boat wet intentionally or unintentionally in the corner, the boost is going to help lift the boat back up out of the water. So if you get into a corner and you really sink it in and the wing gets too wet, the boost is kind of a Hail Mary that'll help pull you back out of it.
Monaco has slowed on the last corner. That's a shame because that was actually looking to be a really good lap to me. I wonder what's happened that's slowed her down there.
Yeah, it could be a variety of things. You know, with Team Monaco being a new team, I can imagine that they're working through some things with the boat. You know, they're very fortunate to have Oban on the team because she has so much power boating experience. She's been on other teams before, so as they kind of work through the paces of sorting this race bird out, you know, Oban is really going to be able to help guide them with all of her experience and also her power boating knowledge. So I'm hoping that they didn't have a major issue with the boat. So maybe we'll find out. Maybe Taylor can tell us later, but we'll see what happens. So hopefully the second pilot can help pick it up a little bit.
Apparently it was a big wave that has affected them. That's what we've just gathered. So we're watching Sierra and Eric Stark. Let's see how Eric, it's good, that's a good middle sector, very good indeed. Let's see, because they are just, oh, that didn't look right. What happened there?
Yep, so that was kind of what I was talking about earlier. Eric was under the boost when he went through that corner. Eric has a very aggressive cornering style that comes from F1 powerboating, and he was just under the boost when he hit that corner. Cornered a little bit too hard, and a lot of times if you're under the boost while the wing is getting wet, the boat wants to kind of rock to the other side. I like to call that high siding, and if it's a little bit too aggressive, it kind of looks like the boat's going to flip. So I think that was really just Eric pushing it really hard in the corner under the boost, and the boat kind of pushing back.
Interesting. No, and it's a shame because he was on a really good lap. Let's take another look at this then.
Yeah, so see right here, oh, this is totally different. Actually went the other way. So, you know, when he was we didn't get to see the frame just before that, but my guess is just before that he was really leaned in on the left under the boost, and then the boat kind of violently went back to the right. So, you know, that's high sighting, and like I said, that happens a lot when you're under the corner, under boost on the corner. So that completely upset the boat. He kept good control of it. The boat didn't get too high in the air, so I think he was able to recover.
But in a way, Anna, that's really great that you've been able to explain that to us, because this is, you know, this is everybody trying to get to the absolute fastest they can for qualifying, and it's so easy sometimes to just make a little error where you just get the corner slightly wrong at the wrong, as you say, maybe the wrong amount of power with the boost, and it can easily happen. So, but a good effort by all of them.
Yeah, I can sadly say I'm speaking from experience on high sighting. I think I was one of the first people to scare the bejesus out of everybody on the dock here in Lake Como. I did exactly what Eric did, but you could see the entire bottom of the boat when I did it. The horizon line was not where it was supposed to be, and I think I scared everybody. So I think the pilots have learned from that.
So let's go to Aoki on radio and have a chat. So, Danny, we're just asking how it was for you guys for the Aoki. You're currently third fastest. How was it?
We have to pass through the start-finish line and go back, or we go directly?
So. And we're just trying to call to you, Danny, from the commentary. We're just wondering how that went for you, currently third fastest.
I don't know who spoke, but the radio was shit.
Well, sorry about that. But we always have to experiment with this to make it work. So we will get that to work, and we will be able to speak to the pilots at various times when we get this all underway. So that is the team, of course, that is leading the championship at the moment, but ended up third fastest in that particular session. But remember, when their second pilot goes out, and especially in this first part of qualifying, it is the combination of the times that both pilots do to get them through to the next stage. Then it will be one pilot at a time as we go through the different stages, but there's every chance that they will, of course, not be in the bottom two, which is when you get kicked out and you won't go through to the next stage.
Yeah, a strategy that I've kind of been picking up on, you know, again, speaking from experience, I think a lot of times the first pilot to go out is whoever was setting a faster pace during practice. And then they take the information from that pilot and then they hand it to the pilot that may be slightly behind or, you know, needs a little help or, you know, anything like that. So I imagine we're gonna see a mix of results in the second qualifying here as the other pair of pilots go out. But typically, you know, the first pilot goes out, sets a fast lap or works through some issues, and they take all that feedback back to the team. The team analyzes it and gives it to that second pilot, and then hopefully you see a Hail Mary in the second portion. I know with me and Eric that happened a lot where, you know, Eric was a drive-by-feel pilot and he would go out and set a fast lap and they would give me all of that information. And every once in a while I could pull something out that was a little bit faster than what he had because I had all that very valuable data.
Well, I can totally understand that. Makes sense. Well, there is Danny heading out then. So it hasn't quite.
All right. It was only one second off.
Just trying to listen.
When Kai started, she was like the water. It's got them.
Yeah. So I think it hasn't. You know, they're not fastest, but they don't look as though. Sarah is actually feeling quite confident by the sound of it. There, she feels that we're in a decent position. We can make this work.
Yeah, Danny is very animated, I would say. So if he comes out of the boat and he's not, you know, doing his whole shtick, you know, he's definitely thinking very hard about it. He's a very serious pilot, despite his animated attitude. So I'm sure that their team is going to work together to improve things when Sarah goes out. But Aoki definitely one of the strongest teams, also from a technical perspective as well.
Owen Duncan there, who is with Team Monaco. So learning, of course. Max Noscher will be going on to that in just a little while. But it's an opportunity to catch up with some of the teams, and we're going to catch up with Westbrook. Taylor is there.
Yay, first session. Okay, that's good.
Down here with Sarah Price, you were just talking with your teammate Lucas. Looking at that race time, you pulled it off so far with the fastest lap. How does that feel?
Feels good, you know, we've been fast. That first lap really screwed me, to say the honest truth, because, yeah, you don't want to ruin, you only get 2 chances to make a good lap. And so that first one, I was in Aoki's water because we all fight for that first lap. The first lap is almost a guaranteed fastest time. They did put the rib out ahead of us to try to help that situation, but it doesn't really help that much. So yeah, no, that first lap was kind of just a throwaway. And then I was like, well, the pressure's on now. I guess I better pull it, out to make it happen this next one. And I did.
Well, you did. You took that pressure and you made it happen. Now it's up to your teammate, Lucas, because obviously it's combined time. So what does he need to do out there to keep you guys on the top?
Oh, it's simple. You just have to go fast, Lucas. Just go fast.
Go fast.
That's it. Yeah, do the same as Sarah.
That's it. Just go fast.
That's it. Go fast. All right. Well, congratulations so far in that first run. Excellent job,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Well, a very good performance indeed for Westbrook. So let's just go through those times. The only ones under 120 or 119.98. And although it was all close at one stage, they actually put that lap much quicker. Sierra second, 121.2. Aoki a fraction slower in third. Blue Rising in fourth place. And then Monaco looked as though they might be putting in a better lap, but it just didn't quite come together for them. But all five looking nice and close as we look back to it. So we have had the first part of qualifying, but we now have the second 5 teams to go out for their run, because we've had 5 teams in each so far. So it's Rafa, Tom Schapt, who's going to be there, then Drogba, Michael Wilkinson, Brady, Sam Coleman, and then Miami, Timmy Hampson, and Alula with Rusty Wyatt. And they are going to be sharing, of course, throughout, and we will see how this all goes. It is in this qualifying, remember, both pilots have to set a time, and it will be added together and then divided to give us an overall time for them. So So we're getting ready, but there is a little bit of a delay before we get this session going. Understandably, there are often little delays before we can get the boats out there and have their proper qualifying sessions, but it is always entertaining, and we've got some great teams, of course, and Team Brady is one of those, the title winners for the last 2 years in E1. Rafa has an inverter issue, so that's a little bit unfortunate for Tom Schaap and the Rafa team, so they're trying to sort that out. But as I say, Team Brady with Sam Coleman, who will be pilot in this particular session, sharing of course with Emma Kymäläinen, who will be taking it on later on. They are the double champions. They're not leading the championship after just the one event so far this year. They know that the competition's going to be very, very tough, but they are still up there, the second in the overall points so far, and so they're always going to be a major competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Brady are definitely the ones to beat, you know, regardless if it's quali or race day. You know, last year they had a little bit of a slow start, but they came out at the end, so they're definitely the ones to watch. I can tell you right now that with Rafa having an inverter issue, the other teams might be getting kind of excited, because Tom Schaap is the one that I think scares everybody in the paddock on quali day. He's easily one of the fastest pilots on any given day, and everyone is looking to him to set the pace, and somehow he deals with that pressure.
That's really interesting that Tom Schaap is so rapid. That's really good to know. Team Rafa have often done some great things. They've just had the one win, though, in their GPs so far. But Tom Schaap, the Frenchman, he has done 13. He's had that one win, and he competed in world endurance titles. He raced karts since he was 5 years old. So as you say, lots and lots of experience. But it's interesting to hear you say just how rapid he is in qualifying.
Yeah, you know, that resume of his doesn't also include his time in powerboat racing and the fact that his dad is an F1 powerboat world champion. So he has a little bit of a powerboating pedigree, and, you know, I think a lot of pilots on race day and qualifying look to him to be setting the fastest time. And I do believe he was awarded fastest lap at several events last year. So, you know, he's definitely the one to watch, and if they have an issue, I think some of the other teams are going to get a little bit excited.
Okay, well, we shall obviously be watching that to see how they get on with it all. The other teams, as I mentioned, we have Alula and Miami and Drogba. Drogba also another team too. Well, they're all good teams. They've all had their times at different times, haven't they, in terms of how competitive they have been. Although Drogba have never actually had a win. They've had podiums, but they never actually had a win. So we shall see how that all goes. In the meantime, we're going to go back down and join Taylor.
Down here with Chris Lazaraga. Chris, Tom is in the boat right now. It seems like we've got a little bit of delay. How is the boat feeling this morning?
Well, yesterday we had a lot of technical problems. We think we have solved them, but we are not sure. No, it's the first time we go in the water. So I hope he has a good session, and let's see how the day goes.
And talk about this course out here. The water obviously can be deceiving sometimes. What is it to get out there for that first time in Q1? What does it mean?
Well, I think in this special occasion is very special, because we've been 3 months off now, so we were all waiting for this moment to come. The spot is amazing. I mean, the water conditions are awesome, so I think we are all enjoying to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yes, it is. It is a beautiful place, and it is gorgeous weather at the moment. We shall see how this all goes. So we are into Q1 Session 2B now, with the other 5 teams that we have not yet seen out in qualifying. Obviously they have done practice runs on the Thursday here, but this is our chance to see how these other teams are getting on. Just keep an eye on Sam Coleman for Team Brady, and you're riding on board right now, and this gives us a little bit of a picture. Rafa also starting. Tom Schaap is starting in that, and so we are getting to see some of the front runners, and we've got to see whether they can challenge that 1:19 that has set the pace in the first part of qualifying.
Yeah, right away I could already see Tom got off to a little bit better of a start coming across the starting line there. We saw Sam come unloaded a little bit with the boat falling off the foil slightly, so we'll see if Tom can carry that around the track and see how he does.
Okay, well, let's watch on board, and we can get a nice view. That's a nice smooth turn without getting the flick that we saw just a little while ago. Boost going in just a little bit on the exit, and then not all the way. you can use the boost. You can see the green coming up on the screen of the boost coming out of the corners. Is often really helps the boat float up onto the foils and set a time, and a 1:22.52. That's a little bit off what the best we've seen, but this is similar to what we saw first laps from the others as well.
Yeah, so Sam definitely looked very clean. You know, something that he did slightly different coming around that corner compared to like Eric, for example, who had a little trouble coming around the corner under boost, was you could see he applied the boost at the entrance, came back off, and then got back into it. So whereas Eric may have been on the boost the entire time. So let's see how Tom does here. He's also cornering under boost, but he's keeping the wings pretty dry.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is actually looking like a pretty good lap. Let's just see where this is going to put them. Westbrook, of course, fastest from that first session. Let's see what Tom Schaap does. Well, it's a good initial run, as you can see, with that time, but it's okay. It's not his final sector was good, but the time itself only a 1:24.1, so a little bit off at this stage. But there is plenty of time to try and work out where to find the time, and then they get another flying lap.
Yeah, it remains to be seen what issues that they were having. So they could have had a power issue, or it could have just been the team trying to get things back together with a sight lap. So we'll see what they come up with later. But next we have Rusty Wyatt on Team Alula. Rusty actually messaged me just before this and said he needed a shout out. So Rusty, thank you. Rusty also has power boating experience. So a lot of his line choices are going to be similar to people like Tom Schaap, Eric Stark with that Formula power boating experience. So Rusty's another one that's usually going to lay a pretty fast lap early on and then communicate that back to his co-pilot.
Here you are, you're just riding on board with the 31-year-old Canadian who has competed in 7 GPs now in this E1 series, and looking quite good at the moment. Sector time, good first sector, so potentially this could be a pretty impressive lap here.
Yeah, unlike the other teams before, he kept that whole start straight very, very balanced, and the boat was very balanced throughout the corner as well. So just keeping it up on the foil makes a significant difference.
So we've got others coming out and setting off as well, but let's just keep an eye on how Rusty Wyatt gets on, because we shall see how this goes. Timmy Hansen from Miami also out there as well now, heading into the first sector, but it is being kept very smooth by Rusty Wyatt at this stage. Let's just see. Oh, bit of a battle. Oh, that doesn't quite work. Yeah, that cost a little bit, didn't it? Now getting the exit.
Still maintaining it.
Yeah,
that was beautiful. He made that work. I think his smoothness on the front end of the lap saved him when he had that little bit of trouble at the end.
All right, and it was, as you say, it was a good lap, 1:20.203. So that has done a good job for Alula, and we shall see how that goes. In the meantime, we will keep an eye on Timmy Hansen with the Miami, and Timmy, the Swedish pilot. He's competed in 11 GPs over his time already, and well, let's just keep an eye on how this is looking. Still, that 1:19.98 is the time to beat, set by Westbrook in the first stage of qualifying, but that is really good. Look, a 1:19.39, an excellent lap.
Yeah, Timmy's usually consistently a really fast qualifier. He drives really smart. He is a package deal with an engineer that really seems to know what he's doing. So good for Timmy. That was definitely very smooth, and we'll see if anybody else can run it like that.
Yeah, impressive, very impressive. And how close those times are. Just half a second from Westbrook from what they did earlier. You've got 3 teams within 1 second, and that can be quite unusual, can't it, with E1? Sometimes you get some big gaps, but we are on lake, so that is slightly more consistent.
Yeah, you know, the gaps can really vary. You know, I've seen GPs where they're very close, and then I've seen some where they're very far. So, you know, seeing them tight is not usually terribly uncommon, but I think it really depends on the condition and if the setups are simple or if they're complicated.
Let's see.
Yeah, next up in the boat is Micah with Team Drogba. He's got a lot of foiling experience, and that really seems to have paid off for their team. He's definitely getting a little loose right there. I think a lot of that had to do, like I said, with coming into the face of those waves. The water looks rougher than it did earlier. It looks more like a bathtub now than it did earlier, so we got a lot of cross chop coming in, and you could tell that really disturbed the boat when Micah was headed for that first corner.
Okay, well, let's keep an eye on Drogba and just see where they managed to get to here. We've gathered that Rafa have actually had their time taken off them, or one of their times taken off, because they hit. I think they hit one of those smart marks or did something slightly wrong. So yeah, but we'll keep an eye on Michael Wilkinson here, and this is actually looking like a pretty good time so far, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking good. It's curious to see with Rafa if they, depending on how hard they hit one of the smart marks, if it caused any damage to the foil, which can really, really drastically affect the boat. But I don't think Tom Schopp is a stranger to kissing the smart marks out on the track, so we'll see if he can pull out a better second lap. But look at Micah.
Yeah. Goes
up
forth
into the top 5 pretty quickly, despite that really rough start headed from the start to corner 1. So second lap, if he can clean that up, I'm sure he'll probably go quite a bit faster.
Absolutely. And the teams in this session are actually generally going a little bit quicker, except that Westbrook, that set the pace in that first qualifying, still right up there in second position. So we will see how this works out. Teams at risk at the moment, Monaco and, as I say, Rafa, because they've lost that time. That has obviously affected them. They've got to get out there.
Yeah, it's curious to see the times get quicker as the day goes on, because typically it's the other way around. Usually whoever goes out first gets that flatter water. So, I think at this point it's just the teams that are learning. Oh, we have a challenge right here. Brady and Alula. Looks like Brady's going to take it. Not surprising. Brady can be a little bit of a bully on the track, but it definitely pays off for them.
Well, let's see how this works. That's a very interesting line going there.
Oh, let me tell you about that line. We would call that the slingshot.
Right.
That's definitely a power boating thing, trying to take the widest line to get as much speed as possible headed towards the finish line to start off. But this is what I've been talking about right here. Immediately after the starting line, there's a few, bumps in the water that people are falling off the foil. So they've been falling off there, and then they've also been falling off here at the approach to the first corner. My guess is, that as they're coming across the start line, they're activating the boost, and the boat's getting a little touchy, and then as they're approaching the first corner, they're coming off the boost. My second theory is that there's just something in the water that, maybe there's a current or something underneath the surface that's messing with that foil, but it seems like that's where most of the teams are losing their time.
I can imagine that, yes. It must be very challenging. And it's fascinating how sometimes when you're coming down the straight here, you get beautiful, clear view a lot of the time, but then suddenly when you take that dip and you get the spray over your windscreen, presumably as a pilot, you can barely see where you're going at all.
Absolutely. Even when there is no water on your screen, you can see here there's very little visibility out of the cockpit. The rider's sitting quite low. The actual windshield is not terribly big, so having a good pair of eyes and ears on the shoreline is critical. And if your eyes and ears aren't helping you out, that could be the end of the race. That's definitely happened to me before, unfortunately.
I can totally imagine that, yeah, because the view just goes completely sometimes. Out of the last corner then, let's see how Sam Coleman does here, coming over the line. It's not going to be the top, no, it's a 122.6, so it's not the fastest at all, because we've got the quickest in the 1-minute 19s at the moment, but it's all part and parcel of just trying to develop what they can get out of that. But it is a little bit surprising for Team Brady when they are so rapid normally.
Yeah, I'd say typically it's Emma Kimilainen that usually pulls it out of the bag for Team Brady. So my hunch is maybe that they sent Sam out first to get a good grip on the boat, and then they'll take that information back to Emma, and she will hopefully set them a screaming time.
Now, Team Rafa got to have a power recycle, so they've got a bit of a challenge as well. So we're keeping an eye on Timmy Hansen at the moment, and Timmy Hansen for Miami. Let's just see whether this is going to be another one that could move them up the order just a little bit through the last corner. Looking quite neat and tidy, bit of boost, but using it all up already actually, so there's no boost to take across the line. But let's just see what the time is. It's in the 120. Oh, I thought it was going to be 122s, but just in the 121s, 121.97.
Yeah, it may just have been a matter of the water when Timmy was out earlier. If he just hit a really smooth patch, that really could have contributed to his time. But, Timmy's usually just very smooth in general, and I don't know necessarily that he's one to push the limits, and sometimes that can pay off.
So they're still fastest at the moment, Miami. So they're still the most rapid at this stage, as we're keeping an eye on Rusty Wyatt for Alula. And Alula currently third fastest, only 8 tenths away from what Miami did a little bit earlier on, but at this stage, it's not looking as though this lap.
Smoother that corner than last time, though, so I think they've got something in the tank today.
Yeah. Let's just see how it comes across the line. Yeah, it is a slower lap. It's a 1:22.6, but they're in a very secure position anyway, so no problems there. And do remember that we will see everybody out with their other pilots with the teams to set the overall standings for this Q1, and then later on as we go it will be pilot by pilot going through to each stage. But this is such an important stage of qualifying where the teams are still learning so much. There's so much information. When you're a pilot, Anna, and you're in there at the moment, how much are you talking to the teams, like when you've completed a lap? Is it a really long discussion?
To be completely honest, we had a lot of radio trouble last year, so
right.
I didn't get as much help as I probably needed. But, you know, it kind of depends on the pilot. You know, some rely very heavily and others don't. But, you know, I like to have a little drip feed of information so that I can try to improve on the fly. But, you know, looking at the track right now, thankfully Team Rafa was able to get things going. I'm sure that their team's pretty frustrated right now. But Tom's usually pretty good at keeping a cool head, so we'll see. They're looking really smooth. They did not fall off the foils where a lot of the other folks were. So now we'll see what Tom does. You know, Tom is really one of the most aggressive pilots on the steering, so a lot of times his corners are very sharp. But the one thing that all of the teams have scratched their heads on is that Team Rafa does a really good job of getting the boat balanced. So you'll see even when it's rough, that boat usually stays pretty level.
It does look level at the moment. This looks like a rather lovely ride at the moment. Rafa obviously needs to get a time in because they have no time at all. There's only 2 minutes left on the session, so let's see whether they can establish themselves. Obviously, if they had no time at all in this session, they would have absolutely no chance of dropping out of the or getting into the top 8 to go to the next stage, but hopefully they can make that work.
Yeah, it looks like the boat's riding a little bit lower than where Tom usually keeps it at, so I'm wondering if that's a strategic decision or if they're having trouble with the boat. But yeah, I'm hoping to see these guys continue so we can see, you know, what they're looking at.
It's not a good lap. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is a technical problem still with the Team Rafa, and unfortunately he's down in 9th place, so which is very unusual, as you said, for Tom Schaap, who's so rapid, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on Chris Lazaraga, who's going to be taking over for the other run. But you know, when you're 3 seconds off the fastest, that's going to be a major challenge.
Yeah, we should be able to tell pretty quickly if they change to the cockpit cam if Tom is dealing with boat trouble or not. You know, he definitely wears his emotions on his face sometimes after things go badly, so we'll see what happens. But you know, they've had issues before and they've come back, so we'll see. Micah looking very good right now.
Yeah.
Oh, might be fastest lap right here.
It is. You're absolutely right. A
very smooth.
1:16.01. 3 seconds faster
They're
than anybody.
They're going to be so happy. Like I said earlier, they had such a fast lap after he so violently was struggling in that first corner, so he cleaned that up, and sure enough, he's at the top of the board.
That is so impressive. Michael Wilkinson, the 29-year-old New Zealander, who's he's completed 7 GPs in E1 in the past, so that is really, really impressive. That's Tara Pacheco, who is going to be getting involved in all of this as well. 4 times an Olympic sailor in London in 2012, but she is really looking forward to this, and of course she'll be out in that very soon. But well done to Team Drogba. That's an impressive time, and you can just see the smile on her face, knowing what she's going to be playing with.
Yeah, I would definitely classify Micah as a little bit of a sleeper. He can be kind of quiet in the paddock, keeps to himself, very friendly, but he's definitely a killer on the racetrack. So good on him and the team. We'll really be able to see the team dynamic here as Tara goes out later and sees how well she can translate what Micah has done now into hopefully a fast lap for them later. I think it'd be exciting to see them in the mix. I think they've had a little bit of bad luck the last couple races, including last season, so who knows, maybe they'll be a dark horse today.
Okay, yeah, well that's certainly fun to see. That was such an impressive time by Drogba, the team owner, of course, famous football Didier Drogba, and we shall see if they're going to be able to continue that, because they do need to combine times, and we will see how Tara Pacheco gets on when she comes out, and she is definitely looking forward to getting involved in this. Absolutely, be a great opportunity, and it's clearly working very well around this beautiful venue in Italy. We're at the Lake Como in northern Italy, and the third longest lake anywhere in Italy. Mind you, they're not doing the whole lake. It's a much, much longer lake than the section that they actually race around. But of course, they're near the edge where they can get back to the team, get the work done. But we are worried about Rafa, as you said, Team Rafa down in 9th place, and it really does seem as though they have some sort of technical issue from what we'd already heard. Whether they're going to be able to get that sorted out when they get out for this sort of second part of these combined standings, we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, you know, it'd be, I'm sure, a huge disappointment to the team if they struggle through qualifying today, but that does give them the evening to sort the boat out, and it wouldn't be the first time that they've gotten not the best pole position placement, but then came into race day swinging. You know, they're both very talented, both very aggressive, and, you know, if push comes to shove, they're ones that'll be able to fight their way out of the mess.
Well, let's see. Impressive stuff. But Michael Wilkinson's done a really, really impressive performance there. 1:16.01, 3.3 seconds faster than anybody else, and so close. Nobody near. It seems amazing that they could have achieved that. But yeah, the team will be very happy, but they've got to continue to build it. And other teams, of course, will be coming up with ideas and thinking, okay, now what have they done? What can we do?
Yep, I would venture to guess that this morning, nobody was expecting that out of Micah. Like I said, he's kind of a sleeper. He definitely has the talent for it, but he kind of takes his time. So I think a lot of the other teams are probably feeling a little bit concerned about this right now as they're looking at, you know, teams like Rafa and Brady to be setting the fastest lap, and then out of nowhere, here's Team Drogba.
Yeah, superb stuff from Team Drogba. Really, really good. Let's take a look at the results then. Drogba leading by a major margin of over 3 seconds from Miami. Westbrook in 3rd place ahead of Alula, and then Sierra in 5th place. Aoki, championship leading team at the moment, down in 6th place. Blue Rising 7th, and the double champions, Team Brady, down in 8th place. Rafa with what seems to be a technical issue possibly at risk, down in 9th place, and Monaco in 10th.
Yeah, you know, Team Brady may be down now, but Emma Kimilainen is consistently one of the fastest qualifiers, so we could see them pull something out here in the second session.
And so that is the sessions of Q1. And let's go down and join Taylor.
Well, what a race that was. Qualifying, Micah, you've got to be all smiles. I don't know if you heard your lap time yet, but you were running a 1:16, which puts you 3 seconds faster than Sarah Price, who had that fast lap in the first run. How does that feel?
Did I get a hit of Rusty White in that one?
Did you hit a Rusty what?
Did I get a hit of Rusty White in that one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
It was a fast run. Did it feel fast on the water?
That's all Scott cares about. Yeah, no, it was good. Super nice. The water's pretty choppy. It's a beautiful location, but a little bumpy, but it makes for really entertaining laps because there's just big differences. But super stoked. No, we had a good day yesterday, and we'll try and carry that on today.
Well, you seem so calm about this. I feel like you should be a little bit more pumped because your teammate, Tara, she's obviously coming in new, but you really set her up for an excellent start here.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to support the teammate. Tara's a bit of a weapon. She's coming strong, so really excited to see her get in the boat. But I'm not super excited because it is still qualifying. You know, we know this series. We played this game before. What matters is final 2 tomorrow. So, of course, we're ecstatic, but yeah, bring on tomorrow.
Staying collected. Well, congratulations. Great work, Micah.
Thanks.
Well, we are enjoying the qualifying here, and we're getting ready for the next stage where the other pilots will now take on. So Blue Rising, Sierra, Aoki, Westbrook and Monaco will be coming back out right now, and the pilots that have done the first session now hand over to the others, and the likes of Emma Kimalainen, Nerea Marti, Chris Laraja, Rihanna Mira Hunter and Tara Pacheco. So we will be seeing them coming out in this session, and it's Westbrook that we are seeing straight away. So we had seen a good effort from them in that first stage, but let's just see how this goes now. And we've got a chance to just watch and see how Lucas Ordonez gets on with this. That's right on board here, Anna.
Yeah, right away I noticed that coming across the starting line, they kept the boat, you know, I'm not sure if it was low or if it was just more gentle. You know, as the boat kind of came off the foil, it just very gently kissed the water rather than slamming it very hard. And that may be a result of their ride height, so I'm not sure if that's a strategic decision or if that's just chance. But I do believe when Sarah was driving earlier, it was a little bit lower than everybody else, and they may be doing that to try and keep the boat stable. So we'll see. A little bit bumpy of a start for Lucas, but it looks like he did pretty good in Sector 1.
Okay, well, let's keep an eye on it and see how this goes. A former car racer himself, Nissan GT Academy winner, LMP2 World Champion, but very much enjoying E1 now and doing a good job with it. And let's see how the rest of this lap goes.
This is looking
sector
fast.
times, yeah, looking good, isn't it?
This back corner right here is going to be very critical. Got it a little bit too wet, maybe.
Just a little bit more of a bounce there than was ideal on exit.
Still strong.
But still going well. Let's see what the time is. That's pretty impressive for a first lap, 120.8. Remember, you've got to get down into the 116s, but they were many of them were doing sort of 120 or 119 to start with. So that's a pretty good start. It's not the best, but it's okay.
I'm not going to lie. I think that Micah's lap might have been a little bit of a miracle lap. If somebody else gets it down to 116, I think I'll be really surprised. But, you know, anything can happen in E1, so we'll see.
So, yeah, we've now got the opportunity to get both pilots out there. And you can just look at the combined standings, and where you see the numbers there, the order, and the green coming up, that indicates that the second pilot now has set a pace as well, because that's what we want to see, is all of them having done it, and then we know exactly which two are not going to make it through. 9th and 10th, remember, is the teams at risk. We're watching Team Monaco now, so Open Duncan was in it earlier, but it's now Max Noscher, the French pilot, 31 years old.
So just right there, that's kind of what I was talking about. As Max came across the line, the boat was just low enough to where when it came off the foil, it just very gracefully and gently came back up. So it wasn't this heavy slam, and he was able to maintain his pace. So hopefully that pays off overall in his lap.
Looking pretty good through here at the moment, as long as it doesn't, you get a little bit of bounce.
You can see he's heading into the face of the rollers there, and the boat gets a little bit upset. So like I was saying, I think a lot of the struggle here today is the water condition.
Yeah.
And we did hear from Micah earlier, he was saying beautiful location but choppy water, and I think it might be a little deceiving to the viewers. That I think it's a little bit rough out there.
It's important for them to get some quick times in, though, because they are down in 10th place at the moment, and down in 10th means you will not get through to the next stage of qualifying. So it's really, really important that they put it together. Aoki out on circuit as well, the Aoki team. So we will see how they can develop this, see if they can move up from 6th. We expect them to be moving up that order, but let's wait and see. But meanwhile, Monaco, they need to come from 10th.
A little bit behind coming into this last corner here. Smooth ride, but it just lacked the speed.
Let's see then, Max Noscher is going to come across the line. No, as you say, it's not a particularly quick lap, 126, so they stay down in 10th with both pilots having done a run so far. Of course, gets another one. This isn't the end of it, but it is a bit worrying for them.
Yeah, you know, the danger, you know, there's a good thing about riding low, and that's being stable, but then the danger is you're not going fast enough, so that may be what they're dealing with now. Now we have Sarah in the Team Aoki boat going after Danny earlier. It seemed like Danny was a little tense, but she was in good spirits, so we'll see if she took some information from Danny and see if she can improve on it.
Absolutely. Let's see how this goes, but yeah, it's looking reasonable, keeping it pretty smooth. Using the boost, as we can see from the electric power, just now coming out of the final turn. again, a little bit more boost just there to help lift the boat up on the foils. Oof, getting a bit too much of a bounce there, and it's not a rapid lap.
Yeah, that hopefully was just a little bit of a sight lap for them, but yeah, it was kind of interesting to see her boost application. When she arrived at that last corner, she did not really have any boost to play with, and then she had it at the end when it was kind of a little bit too late. So hopefully they can kind of re-rack on that. There's Matilda. Fun fact, that is a powerboating world champion, one of the only females to do it, and that I think honestly is one of the reasons why Team Aoki is so strong. They're very powerboat based. They have some of the best strategy, so I think they're one of the ones to beat.
Okay, well, let's see how this all develops, and it's great to have people like that involved as you just ride on board right now with Aoki and with Sarah Mizia, and we shall see how this goes for them. They are that little bit lower down than we expected, but there is a chance obviously to move up, and as long as you get into the top 8, then you can work with the team to keep improving it. But if you're in the bottom 2, 9th and 10th, you're not going to get through to the next stage of qualifying, so that can make life a bit challenging.
Yeah, so next we have Team Sierra up now with Katie Munnings in the boat. Katie is a little bit of a lurker. Sometimes she doesn't really have the best qualifying day, and then other days she comes out with a crazy time. So we'll see what she comes up with today. Eric's had a really fast time earlier, so we'll see if she could take some of that and lay something equally or faster. But she's looking pretty smooth right here, and still keeping it up on the foils, so we'll see how she makes it through this corner.
Okay, well, let's keep an eye on Katie Munnings, and let's see if she can just develop this a little bit more for them, coming through out onto the backstretch now and trying to keep that smoothness and this beautiful views that we have out of this lake up towards the Alps. But she's just focusing very much on trying to keep it as level as possible. That's looking pretty good.
Yeah, she took that first corner quite a bit wider than Eric did earlier, but we'll see. You know, she stayed very smooth. So like I said, you know, sometimes taking the wide line when it's rougher out can lead to a faster time, but we'll see when she crosses the line if she's on pace with Eric or if they need to find some room for improvement.
Okay, well, let's see. Katie Munnings now coming into the final section, and it's looking reasonably promising at this stage in terms of the times. Let's remember that 1:16, getting into the 1 minute 16s is the fastest, but if you can get into the sort of 1:19s, 1:20s, but now she's not going to be quite there, is she?
Yeah, it looked hard to tell if she had boost in that corner or not. We didn't have it up on the screen at the time, but the boat looked a little bit slow through that corner, and she took it a little bit wide, so that may have slowed her down a little bit.
Yeah, she definitely has slowed down a little bit, so that was not a particular improvement. Meanwhile, we are just seeing a couple of changes in that order list, and of course now that both pilots are putting it together, it's interesting that right now Sierra are down in 9th place and Monaco, and Rafa up into 8th position, so that has moved them up a little bit from where they were. Aoki in 6th position, which is safe. It's just not as far up as we kind of expect them to be.
Yeah, this may be a miracle in disguise for Team Rafa. If some other teams struggle here now, it may keep them safe, but Christina is sitting in the boat, so maybe they're going to make it out despite the problems that they were having earlier. So hopefully we see them be able to actually put in a fast lap, but you know, Team Sierra may not have done very well this lap, but Katie still has one more lap to go, so I imagine she's probably talking to her engineers right now and hopefully going to clean that lap up to get them back up towards the top.
Apparently Blue Rising team have said they need some assistance. There is some sort of issue with their machine, so something going on, and Michelle Alobaden, who is due to come out for them, that is obviously a bit of a worry for them. They haven't actually come out at all yet, so that is a concern. Let's hope they can get it sorted out, whatever the technical issue is for them right now.
Yeah, just in that same spot again, the boat seemed to fall off the foil for Westbrook here, but they kept it a little bit softer, so without that big slam, hopefully they save some time. So let's see if Lucas can clean this one up and keep him and Sarah up in the top 5, hopefully propel them up even higher. So looking pretty good right here. This right here is the other spot they've been falling down, but Lucas is looking good. So we'll see much tighter line from Lucas, rather over Katie Munnings earlier. So we'll see how this shapes up for them. Looking good in Sector 1.
Yeah, it does look good in Sector 1, and now, just a little bit too much of a bounce there, but hopefully just taking that surface at a good level without dipping in too much. I love this view, the spray coming up from the back, of course, and in qualifying you do not, the whole point, as you can see here, everybody going out very much on their own, because when you're following another powerboat, you are going to lose out from the surface. Is going to be even more difficult. So they're getting a nice clear run.
This is probably the most respectful that the pilots will be towards each other on the track this weekend, is they kind of just let each other go one at a time to try and get the smoothest water. So any other time they're going to be fighting for the space, but for now they'll let each other go one at a time. Absolutely.
So let's just see how this goes for Lucas Ordóñez. And just, well, yeah, it's a 121.3. So that's a reasonable line. They're fourth at this stage, that's where you need to be at this point.
Yeah, it seems kind of on pace. Like I said, the water's gotten rougher, so while Sarah may have had a faster lap earlier, it could have been because of that flat water. So it may not necessarily be that Lucas is slower, it could just be that the conditions change. So we'll see as time goes on, what that looks like, but consistency is really important too, so we'll see what happens. Sara Mezières back out once again for Aoki Racing, and this is looking as though it's going to be a better lap for her. You're riding on board with her right now. There are still just over 4 minutes to go in this session, so there is still time for everybody to try and put in another lap or two, but we know that there is a problem for Alan Baden. So we will see if they manage to get back out once again for Team Blue Rising. But let's just see, how does she go across the line? 23.9, not the best, but hopefully they are still going to be safe to go through to the next stage. Yeah, it seemed like the boat was really kind of hunting around quite a bit in the straightaways, which is kind of uncommon for their team. So it may just be, again, the choppy water. So we'll see what happens. They definitely seem to be struggling a little bit when the boat was up on the foils and on the boost. So, a little bit flatter water, they could probably clean that up. So again, it may just be that Danny had the cleaner water earlier. The pilots are just dealing with the choppier water as time goes on. Absolutely. It's always lovely looking at the layout of the track, giving us a good view of it. Remember, when they go racing, there will be a short lap and a long lap as well, which is all part and parcel of the competition during the races. But in qualifying, you very much stick to this one layout, trying to get the very, very fastest lap, and you'll get 3 points if you're the fastest ever. So Monaco going out for their second attempt. This is their final opportunity to go from 10th. They need to make this really work, because otherwise they will not go into the next stage of qualifying. Yeah, I can imagine Max is probably not feeling great right now coming off of that start just there. He was off the foils a few times, and that really makes it difficult to put yourself in the right headspace coming into the last fastest lap. So hopefully they can get it cleaned up here. There's still half a lap here to make something happen. His line choice looks good around the track, but they could just be struggling with the boat a little bit. Okay, so let's just see whether this is going to be another opportunity. You can see that left wing is so wet coming around the corner there. It's really slowing him down. So I'm not sure if that's just a line choice issue or if they're having some issues with the balance of the boat, but you could see the left wing had water coming up over the top of the surface of it, which means it's causing a lot of drag. Sierra going as well at this point. See whether they can get a bit more from what they've been doing already. They're down in 9th place, so it is obviously very important for both teams that are out there right now to try and improve. Katie Munnings for Sierra, still on the first part. We're watching Max Noscher here at this stage for Team Monaco. It's still not looking particularly rapid, and whether the team haven't quite managed to get this set up in quite the way they wanted. 9th is not enough. That's it. That's the lap's all done. They are not going to be able to go through to the next stage. Yeah, that has to be devastating for the team. But, like I said, with this being a new team, potentially brand new boat on the water, it could just be a matter of them figuring out the settings. So, who knows? Tomorrow they could show up and be the fastest pilots on the track. So definitely a bummer for them, but hopefully they can pull it together. Okay, well, let's just see how it's going to be going for Sierra in this last little section as well. And you're riding on board right now to see how Katie Munnings is dealing with this part. Still keeping that line really wide, probably trying to keep her speed up there. Let's see, is this going to be... that's a good improvement. She's gone up to 6th, so that is definitely a very, very important improvement. Rafa are now down in 9th position, so that is very much at risk for Team Rafa. I mean, yes, okay, if
for some reason another one can't go out at all in the next session, then there might be an opportunity to move up from the lowest two, but it's unlikely, and that is not looking good for Rafa at this stage.
But knowing that TBR is struggling with technical issues right now, that might be the Hail Mary that Rafa needs to make it out of there.
That is true, actually, unless they can get it out there. That actually could affect, yes, you're absolutely right, that could affect TBR, Team Blue Rising, so we may well see that in trouble. But, well, it's the end of the session. Nobody else can go back out.
Oh, this is not good to see. We've got Team Blue Rising coming in on the rope. This means the boat is not running at this time.
Well, we've got an opportunity here to go on board with Westbrook, and let's see if we can join Lucas Ordóñez. Lucas, this is Ben, commentator. We just wanted to get an idea, a feel for how's it been going for you? I think we're not quite getting much sound. I will just try again. So, Lucas, I'm just trying again once more time. This is this is commentator. No, I know you're not quite catching us. We'll work on it. Obviously, that's actually a good reaction. We're getting him just sit. He can hear there's something going on, but he can't quite hear us. Not yet.
Yeah, to be honest, last year we had a lot of difficulties with the radios. You know, I'm not sure if that's location-based, but, you know, if it's one thing to not hear the commentators, but it's something else entirely to not hear your team. And there were several issues, or several instances where pilots were essentially flying blind, and that can really change the dynamic. We can see Michelle. She's not happy, throwing her hands up, probably not sure why the boat isn't running. And then we have John standing on the shoreline, probably trying to figure out what's going on. So this is not great for Team Blue Rising. But you know, in the last 2 seasons, we've definitely seen some more technical issues and teams being able to rally. So there's still time. And you know, like I said, if quali goes badly, tomorrow is what really counts. So if their team can rally together, get the boat sorted, then they can come back tomorrow and they can still win it.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right with that, because qualifying starts off the racing, but then once you get into racing, wherever you finish in a race then determines the lineup for the next race, doesn't it?
The biggest thing is really the mental toll and then the ability to rally. So, you know, if today goes badly, if they can get things together and come back swinging tomorrow, they can still win it. But if they take today and they're down about it and they have trouble getting things back together, it could ruin their day tomorrow. So hopefully they can get something sorted out. You know, each team has a pretty advanced technical team, so they still have some time, but it's definitely unfortunate to see this happen. But it may be a miracle for Team Rafa. We don't know necessarily that Team Rafa wasn't back in the back doing a little seance, little prayer, hoping that something happened, and they may have just received that miracle.
It's absolutely right, because the fact that it looks like Blue Rising are they haven't been able to put in a lap, it basically means they're much more likely to be pushed down into the bottom 2. So Rafa may, as you say, have that chance if they can just put a lap together in this final part of this first stage of qualifying. Then they will be able to make it through to the next stage. Just to remind you, it is Drogba fastest by 3.3 seconds, amazingly, from Miami at this stage. Alula in 3rd position, and just they were only a fraction behind, and then it was all much closer times behind them, with Westbrook in 4th place. And of course Westbrook's time, as you can see from our list here with the green, that means that is how it is set from both pilots. Those that are on blue still, those are the ones we're waiting to come back out in just a few minutes time to set their times with the second pilot, and then that establishes top 8 that will be going through and the bottom 2 that will not be going through, 9th and 10th, and that's what we're talking about. Rafa do have that chance of getting into the top 8.
Yeah, you can see now, just looking at the launch zone here, the boats are rocking a lot. The ground, the launch zone itself is rocking. So something tells me the water's getting quite a bit rougher, because this morning when the race birds were sitting in the launch zone, they were not rocking around like that. So I think between the very first session that we had this morning and now that the waves have increased quite a bit, and I think that is why the lap times appear to be going down. So to be honest, I'm going to just say it now. I don't think anybody's going to be able to beat that time that Micah had. But if they do, I'll be really impressed, especially in these water conditions.
Well, it's good news for Sierra that they've got through to that next stage, and some good smiles. And so that's a good opportunity for them, as you can see. And it's nice to see the expressions and everyone talking about how it's worked and what they're going to be doing and how they can make it even better, hopefully, in the next stage of qualifying. So it has been a tough time for Blue Rising. John Peters, let's hear from him. He is speaking to Taylor.
John Peters, not the start we wanted to have in this Q1 session. Obviously, the boat being drug in. Any idea what's going on? You are a driver and team principal.
Yeah, it looks like it's a communication error with the battery to the boat. Michelle did a couple of restarts, actually 2 hard restarts and 3 or 4 soft restarts out there. And so ultimately it became an unsafe environment and we had to bring it back to the dock.
Now, last race in Jeddah, we saw you running alone, but I remember that you guys did put down the fastest lap. So we know this boat can perform. What is it going to take to get it back out there to finish today?
You know, we got to fix whatever we don't know to fix yet, so that's going to be a struggle. We've been plagued with this problem since leaving Jeddah. The shipping takes a toll on these boats, and so yesterday we didn't get a run at all, and today we're going to have to get after it. That was our first laps on the course, basically, with a decent boat, so we'll see.
We'll see. And of course, Michelle, I'm going to bring you in. How are you? Good to see you. I'm great, but I want to hear about you. You obviously just jumped in this boat. It's great to have you back. New team. How does it feel?
Honestly, I'm happy to be back after my injury, and new color, new team, new flavor. I'm super excited to be working with JP. This race is challenging us so far yesterday and today, but hey, we're going to fix things and get back up, and tomorrow is race day, right?
Absolutely.
Tomorrow really counts.
That's what it is. Obviously, anything can happen today, and then tomorrow it could be the complete opposite. So it's going to be a good race to the finish.
Hopefully. Inshallah.
Thanks.
So let's take a look at the results as we go into the final part, just about to go into the final part of this Q1 session. Currently Westbrook fastest at this stage. So we will see, in fact it's Drogba who are actually fastest overall, but we've got, this is who we've got out, Westbrook, Sierra, Aoki, Monaco and Blue Rising. So we will see more action coming out in just a moment, and we will establish the top 8 that will be going through to the next part of qualifying. Right, we're getting all ready for this, and we will now see who's going to be coming out for this final part of the qualifying of this section here. And here we go. So we've got Chris Ladraga and Rafa have got a good chance of coming up through with Drogba. Brady not doing the job that so far that we would have expected them to do, but at the moment they are just about in a safe place, not by much. Emma Kymäläinen will be pilot there, and we're underway already.
Yep, it looks like there was a little bit of a fight to get to the start here. I believe that's Drogba and then Team Brady, and it's Emma who is one of the toughest pilots on the track to be around. So she is already out in front, and unfortunately Tara is going to have that water, that whitewash, that aerated water. You can already see the boat is upset behind. So Emma did a great job of bullying her way to the front of that. That's that experience, that confidence. So we'll see. I imagine that Tara's probably going to throw this lap away, but you know, there's still some value in trying to push it behind Emma to make sure that the line is accurate. But Emma is consistently one of the fastest qualifiers across the championship, so let's see what she can do.
Absolutely, yeah. But remember that the time that Drogba have already done, the second of those two, so impressive with Michael Wilkinson earlier, it should work okay. But yes, Emma Kymäläinen, let's see what she can do. As you were telling me, she can be very, very rapid, and it will be interesting to see if Team Brady are able to move up, because they're quite a long way down the list, even though they've been so successful in E1 right from the very beginning. But they are a little bit, perhaps a bit more concerned, a bit more anxious than they have been in the past.
Yeah, despite that little battle at the beginning there with Tara, Emma's looking very smooth. So, you know, even if this lap is a little bit slow, maybe that battle with Tara kind of slowed her down a little bit. So between this lap and her next, I think she's going to lay it pretty good.
Yeah, it is a pretty good lap. That's a 1:19.5, and that is definitely encouraging. That has moved them up into 5th position overall, I believe, fastest in this session, obviously, so far, because it's the only one that we have had. And Tara Pacheco, that was a little bit of a slower lap from her, but that is obviously because, as you said, they went out together and she had to back out, because you just can't follow another powerboat and do the same sort of pace, really.
Yeah, getting behind Emma was not ideal, but the good news is Micah's miracle lap earlier was so fast that, you know, if Tara struggles a little bit here, that may balance out in the end. But, you know, she still looked good around the track when she was behind Emma, so hopefully with some clean water, she'll set a pace that's going to keep her and Micah at the top.
Okay, so let's keep an eye on Team Miami and Rihanna O'Meara Hunt. Now trying to see how they can. I mean, they've already got this amazing good lap that they had done already, and let's see whether this comes together now as we are watching the combined and just coming across the line and doing a decent lap as well.
Yeah, I do think Timmy's lap was a little bit faster, so, you know, maybe we'll just chalk that up to a sight lap and see what they can do later. And, you know, maybe it's the water condition, so we'll see, you know, on pace, but I think Timmy was faster.
Okay, well, let's see how this goes. We've still got just under 12 minutes to go in Q1 Session 4B with the second pilots with this group of 5 teams.
This is the defining moment. I think all eyes right now are on Team Rafa, usually one of the fastest qualifiers, struggling, not really laying a good time earlier because of technical issues, and now it's on Christina to hopefully pull them out of this. You know, Christina is tough, but I think sometimes, you know, we've seen she wears her heart on her sleeve, and I think sometimes she can get a little fired up because she cares so much. So we'll see if she can keep her head on and save her team, and you know, she's capable of it, so let's see what she can do.
Right, we're on board. Let's see how this is working. And remember, I could just see her hand there actually just doing a bit of work on the buttons on the steering wheel, and that's something, Anna, you know all about, because you've got a series of buttons on that steering wheel, and the boost is part of that, other aspects as well.
Yeah, typically when you're looking at the pilot, the buttons that you can see them operating are going to be the trim and the lift paddles on the backside of the steering wheel. So as Christina was approaching that first corner and all those waves that she's coming into, she's making some adjustments, more than likely on the trim, to kind of adjust the bow of the boat for those conditions and also for the corner. But she's looking very, very good right now. You can see the waves that she's coming into, and she's keeping it flat. The other area of concern is right about here, in between now and that red smart mark. If she keeps it up, she's looking really good.
Right. So we shall see how this comes, Ryan. And we will watch this just to see how the rest of the lap goes. But it's rather fun watching all of the information that we've got on screen as well. But let's just have a look at the time as Chris Lazaraga is about to come over. It's not particularly rapid, is it?
Yeah, you know, the lines look good, the boat looks balanced. I'm kind of wondering if they're just struggling with the boat today. So hopefully they can pull something together. But, you know, looking at it objectively, the boat looks very well balanced considering the water conditions. We'll see what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly, Team Brady, the team that has been so successful in E1, they have had their time taken away because of something wrong in the milling area that they did. They did something wrong there, and so they've actually lost their time. So that doesn't help at all.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll get some more information on specifically what happened, but my guess would be it had something to do with that little elbows out moment with Drogba.
Yeah.
Maybe Drogba
Yeah.
had a complaint about that. So, you know, they are allowed to protest if they feel as though they've been infringed upon. So, you know, maybe that's what it was, or maybe it was something else. But, yeah, that's never good. It can definitely get in your head a little bit when you have to go out and do it again. So we'll see what they come up with.
Absolutely. Well, now we're keeping an eye on Nerea Marti, and let's see how this goes, because still got a little bit of time to find, but obviously they're in a very good place at this stage, Team Alula. But we've got to get this next lap in as well on this session, because it's the combination that counts. So yeah, not everybody has put together the combinations just yet. Some have, some haven't. You can see they haven't gone green yet. So although they're at the top of the list, that's not relevant really until this is complete.
Yeah, you can tell it looks a little bit rougher out there. She's definitely bouncing around with the boat a little bit more, but the line choice looks good. You know, as the water gets rougher, it's really critical to get away from the smart mark a little bit, because you run the risk of getting bounced into the smart mark, causing damage to the boat, slowing you down. You don't want any of that. So widening up that line a little bit helps. She doesn't look terrible coming across the finish right now. 120, that's not bad.
That's actually good. That's actually kept them up the top, because Q1 was a 120.2 and that's a 120.0. So that's impressive. That has kept them right at the very top. And that's an excellent place to be in for Alula.
Yeah, she's been a little bit of a lurker the last couple of races. She's kind of quiet, keeps to herself, but she definitely makes a good team with Rusty, and right now she just showed it. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, because they've been kind of quiet the last season, and it looks like they got a good team put together for 2026.
You're absolutely right, because she's actually a fraction quicker than Rusty. Only a fraction, but she has gone quicker. So Tara Pacheco now, also going to be going around in a moment. So we shall see how she gets on, because she really needs, here we are, Team Drogba, looking to try and put a proper lap together this time. That's what's important, because we know they had that very good pace earlier on, but then she got a bit held up. So let's see whether it's going to come together this time.
Looking a little bit slow coming around this last corner. Still on pace with most of the pack, but definitely significantly behind Micah earlier. But again, that might have been a miracle. Either way, it put them right up into second place. And again, like I said, even though Tara's lap was a little bit slower than some of the other pilots, Micah's miracle lap earlier is going to help them balance that out. So.
You're absolutely right, because of the 116 he did, she did a 124, so she's a little bit off the sort of general pace. But because you add them together and then split by 2 to get the overall lap that the two pilots put together, then that has put them back into second place. So yeah, it's certainly enough.
Yeah, and you know, there's always a risk with bringing a new pilot into the seat, but when you have a consistently fast primary pilot, then you know that can help balance it out while they're learning and getting up to speed with everybody else. You know, it'll help balance things out in the scoring sheet.
Just to remember, at the moment at teams at risk, you've got Monaco and Rafa, but it is TBR, Team Blue Rising, currently in 5th, who cannot get out and do another lap because they had a problem in that last session, and so they are the ones that effectively will drop because they won't have a lap to add together and split by 2, so they are the ones that will drop down.
Yeah, that makes the standings a little bit deceiving, but you know, it's a huge bummer for Team Blue Rising, especially when they're usually consistently one of the fastest teams. So like I said, disappointment for them, but there's nothing to say that they can't rally and make things happen later. So they've got time this evening before the racing tomorrow to get the boat back up to speed.
Absolutely. So.
Whoa, big one for Rihanna there. Coming into the face of those waves, like I said, very rough. Looks like she was kind of pitched over in the corner and then hit the wave, so that seemed to slow her down a little bit.
It did a little bit, but it's still looking like a reasonable lap. Let's just see. The sections are not bad at all. Right on board. Let's just listen in. A little bit of clashing. Of course, with the electric power, it can be so quiet in there, can't it?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because the engine is quiet, but you can hear the water so much easier.
Yeah.
So you hear every bit of water that's hitting the hull, and it's actually still quite loud in there as the pilot. But again, not an engine noise. You still hear some of it, and you can hear it as they're coming around, but not quite the same. But the craziest thing is just hearing that water pressing up against the hull.
Team Miami currently 4th fastest. Can Rihanna Omida Hunt move them up a little further? It doesn't matter too much, because as long as you're in the top 8, you're getting through to the next stage. But of course, it's all experience. It's all valuable to just putting these laps together. It's a reasonable lap, 121. But 121.7, not the fastest, but nonetheless, they are very safe. Team Miami very much going through to the next stage, where Timmy Hansen sharing with Rihanna, and they will be going well, and they could indeed be potentials for challenging for the 3 points for pole position later on today.
Yeah, I think in her case that the first corner there, she got into the waves a little bit at a kind of goofy angle, and I think that was probably the second or two that she lost. So, you know, some of that will come with time, with the water experience, and that makes E1 very unique compared to other water motorsports, as we have a lot of car racers that are actually competing in this sport, and, you know, the water experience, the intuition, reading the waves, stuff like that, that comes with time. So to jump in the boat and be competitive without that means a lot, but it means that there's room for improvement. So being partners with Timmy will hopefully help her with that.
So Team Brady down in 8th place at the moment, and vital to get a lap together because they lost the last one, so they've got to try and make this all come together. So Emma Kymäläinen now really wants to put together a great lap, and they can. We know how successful they have been in E1. Let's see whether they can put it together here.
Yeah, really good charge coming off the starting line for Emma there. When the boat got a little bit upset, she still kept it moving forward with good momentum, and this is probably the best run of the start line that I've seen so far. We'll see if she loses it coming into this first corner. Nope, she's looking good. So this is looking really good for the first sector here, so let's see what she does with the rest of the lap, but so far it looks really good.
And on the top it says attempt 1 of 2, but actually this is their second attempt because they lost. It was taken away, their first attempt. But as you say, this is looking pretty good, and it could put them into a safe place to go into the next stage of qualifying.
Yeah, you can see as Emma's coming around, even when the boat gets a little bit upset, it just very gently touches the water before it comes back up, and that's really the secret. Because if the boat really comes off hard, it's like hitting the brakes. The boats don't have brakes, but you know, when you come off the foil really hard, it's like hitting the brakes. But she's kept this really smooth throughout, much smoother than some of the other boats we've seen today.
So let's just see how this goes across the line. And we've also got out there Team Alula, as you can see, but this is Team Brady, and just coming into the last corner now. Try not to bounce too much.
That really slowed her down.
Oh, flick one way and the other. That's unusual too, isn't it? Let's see, 121.7, but it has helped a bit, no doubt about it. It's up to 7th combined, and remember, we are going to lose another one down the order because of Blue Rising having that problem. So right now, it does look as though Rafa are the ones who are really in trouble here. We shall see whether that's going to change at all as well. But another lap coming up from Nerea Marti, and obviously trying to see if they can find just that little bit more speed as well.
Yeah, it looks like the distance between the waves may have opened up a little bit. She's kind of dipping down in what looks to be the gaps between the waves. So I think it's definitely gotten quite a bit rougher, but she's looking really smooth around this last corner. She's coming into it kind of hot. Yep, it got a little bit unstable there, but she seemed to maintain it. You know, I think that's where Emma struggled, was she was carrying so much speed coming around these last couple corners that the boat got a little bit unstable.
Okay, let's see, 125. Yeah, it's a little bit of a slow lap in the end, but Alula is safe. They're absolutely safe up there, up at the top end, so they are in good position, and it's no strange thing. What is strange, what I'm a bit surprised about, down in 7th and 8th places now, you've got the top two upside down, effectively, in the championship points at the moment. Aoki are the championship leaders after the one event we've had in Jeddah, and Team Brady are second, and yet they're down in 7th and 8th places. That's quite surprising.
Yeah, you know, it is surprising to see them down there, but what I was noticing with them was a little bit of high speed instability, and that may just be because they're pushing it. It's very rough out there today. You know, I noticed that as they were carrying speed in the straightaways, the boat was getting a little bit unstable, so they may have just pushed it to the limit a little bit too far and found that edge.
So this is vital for Team Rafa, because they're down in 10th at the moment. If they can just get up to 9th, that will be enough, I think, because TBR, Team Blue Racing, will be pushed down to that bit because they won't have got a second lap. But they need to put it together here, Team Rafa.
Yeah, she looks like she's really struggling.
Yeah.
It looks like the boat's going pretty slow.
What's going on
You know,
there?
they may be having a technical issue because this is really unlike them. If they flip the cockpit cam, we may be able to discern from Christina's reaction, but that start was very, very slow.
It's very slow, and you can already see from the top with the screen with their times that it is just, this is not working. So whatever it is, there is a technical issue for Team Rafa, I think.
You know, despite that, she's keeping her cool, which is great to see. You know, I know after their big incident in Monaco last year, they've had to reconfigure their boat setup, and that may be something that they're struggling back from, because in E1 there is no work in between the rounds. You know, the boat goes in the shipping container and goes to the next race. So if you have an issue, you have to sort it out at the races, and that can significantly slow you down. And that may be what Team Rafa is dealing with today.
That's strange. It's sometimes it picks up a bit of speed, but in other, it does look like it's some sort of technical problem, because then it seems to slow down again. So are Team Rafa going to be able to get through into the top 8? It's not looking very likely here at the moment. And Chris Lazaraja about to come over the line, and Team Rafa, no, they've ended up 10th.
Yeah, Christina's not happy.
Oh, that is such a shame.
Yeah, if the boat is intermittent, you know, it could be a driveline issue. They could be having issues with the drive shaft, the propeller. It could be a couple different things, and it can be very difficult because sometimes the boats have to stay in the water all day, and if they have a problem, it just is what it is. So that's really unfortunate to see one of our typical fastest qualifiers struggling, but like I said, quali day is not race day, so they still have time to take the boat back at the end of the day, fix things up, and they could come out swinging tomorrow. And wouldn't you love to see a good upset?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I rather love the fact that these pilots are asked for their 3 adjectives that describe their personality, and she says persistent is one of hers, and she's going to need that tomorrow. But you can always see it in her face, even though the boat hasn't worked, you know, from a technical point of view. There's definitely been an issue. She doesn't look bitterly disappointed. She's just thinking, right, we've got to get this sorted for tomorrow.
Yeah, Christina's easily one of the most passionate pilots in the paddock. You know, it comes off as this raging emotion that you see from her all the time, and it's just because she cares a lot about this.
Well, dramatic stuff. We shall see how this all comes together. But for Alula, Team Alula, they have done an absolutely superb job with the combination, the pace that they have done to set the fastest time to happily go through to the next stage of qualifying. Nerea Marti and Rusty Wyatt both done well. Nerea did a really good session lap earlier on in this session, so they have made it comfortably through from everybody else by setting the outright pace. So very, very impressive indeed.
Yeah, it's always cool when you see a team with just quiet confidence come in and do a great job. You know, there's no frills or fluff with Team Alula. Just obviously 2 very talented pilots. You know, Rusty's Formula Powerboat experience is hefty. He's very talented, and I know when he came into the sport of E1 last year that a lot of the pilots were very concerned to see him coming to the paddock here because of all of his success with Formula 1 powerboating. And you know, Formula 1 powerboating is tremendous. It requires a lot of skill when you're going at that speed. So to see Rusty come in here was incredible.
Well, we've got an opportunity, so let's give it a go and talk to her. Nerea Marti, this is Ben Edwards in the commentary box. Nerea, you have done an absolutely superb job. I hope you can hear me. Just tell me how it feels that as a team you've now set the pace so far today.
Yeah, I'm really excited, to be honest. It's P1, but it's not quali, so just focus to be on the final and try to get the pole position. But this is a good way to start, and also it's my first P1 on quali, so happy about that. For sure, thank you for all the team because they were working so much. Yesterday we had some problems and we couldn't do the free practice. So it's also good that that we got that last time. Vamos.
Thank you very much. Great to hear from Nerea Marti, who's one of those pilots that we've got have done much less. You know, she's into her first full season and yet confidently doing a great job there.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think a lot of that is a testament to a good team. You know, she has a co-pilot that has the powerboat and the water experience, and then they just have a strong team on the technical side, on the engineering side, on the spotting side, and that is all going to help lift her up.
So let's have a look at the results of the various different sessions. Now, when we get over to the right-hand side, we're looking at the teams. Now, there is it's slightly different because Blue Rising, actually, although they're showing 5th, they didn't get a second lap that they needed to do. So actually, they will be down in the lower section. So Monaco means that they will get up into the top 8. Rafa, we know, have failed to do it. So Blue Rising and Rafa will be the two teams that don't make it through.
Yeah, I kind of expected the Blue Rising issue to be a miracle for Rafa, and it actually turned out to be a miracle for Team Monaco.
So lots of fun and games, and it was really enjoyable to watch this first part of qualifying and seeing them all out there with both pilots having to do all the work.